I'm joined by the lovely Christine Skippins, the author of the Magic of Misty Nook series. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you very much.
So, to start us off with, if no one has ever read your books before, how would you sum it up in 3 words for us?
Caring, they're fun, and they're great for animal loving families to share.
Fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. I think that definitely sums it up straight away. So, the next thing I was going to ask you is who is your favorite character within the Misty Nook series, and where did you find your inspiration for them?
Okay, my favorite character is Woody. Um, Woody is he's the chief elf. He's the one that's in charge of the of magical Misty Nook. Um, and he checks everybody in and checks everybody out and knows what's going on. Um, and he was in he I was inspired, or the idea for Woody actually came from the animal centre that I was volunteering at. This centre manager had a Staffordshire Bull Terrier called Woody, who did just that. He sat at reception, good as gold. Everybody came in, got a greeting. Everybody left, got a goodbye from him, and that's where the idea came from. So he's got to be my favourite because he's where it all begun.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, so that was the kind of origin point of the story where it all came
Yeah,
from.
that's where the
Fantastic.
idea came from. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
amazing. Um, and what is has it always been your dream to be an author? Has that always been kind of the goal from when you were little?
No, I've always enjoyed writing. I used to like writing essays and projects and that sort of thing at school. And then in my later years, I always felt I had a story in me, but I didn't really know what that story was, and I didn't know how it was going to come about. Um, and to be fair, it all eventually came about completely by accident. I got the opportunity, I got the idea, and I just grabbed it and thought I'm going to go with this. So that's where it started.
Fantastic. And then Misty Notes was the kind of first idea that you'd sort of written and kind of completed.
Yeah, I mean, I had a go about 20 years ago. I had a go at writing like a rom-com novel, but that was back in the days where you had to write it, print it, send it off. And I had a young family, and I just didn't have the money to go with it really and give it the time. So it kind of got shelved a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and it was almost quite it was an adventure writing it, and I think probably if I hadn't have done that I wouldn't have had the confidence to be where I am now. But
Yeah.
um yeah, the ones that I took seriously, the ones that I really sort of threw my all into, were the Misty Notebooks, because I was at the right point in my life to do it.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes is the way, isn't it? It's the right point and the right time.
Yeah,
Absolutely. How exciting. Yeah. So is that
yeah,
something you would kind of, I know you were writing that sort of rom-com style. Is that something you would think about going and writing next?
yeah, watch this space.
Oh, very exciting. Little tease there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Um, and I was going to ask, we know Woody is your kind of favorite character. What character is most like you in the stories? Who would you most likely be?
Um, do you know what? I think it probably would be Woody again, purely because I'm quite organised. I like everything sort of all
Yeah.
my ducks lined up in a row, if you like. Um, and I love to be. I'm quite imaginative as well, and Woody is, with obviously the games and that he gets the animals to play. So there's a lot of me, I think, in the personalisation of Woody. So I think he probably is quite like me
Yeah.
in dog form. Although
Fantastic.
I've often been told, had I been a dog, I would have been a bouncy yellow Labrador, and I
Oh,
probably would have been.
yeah, all the
Yeah,
energy, bring in the energy.
yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Super. And how do you bring your characters to life within Misty Notes? I know you do lots of the illustration and things like that. How do
Yeah.
you really bring those characters to life?
I do find drawing is part of the process. I usually have the idea and then I draw the character, and then I go back and fine tune the idea, because by drawing the character, I feel like I get to know them not just physically but emotionally as well, because you can
Yeah.
tell by their eyes and you can tell by their grin and what have you what sort of character they're going to be. And obviously the cat's a lot more aloof than the dogs. But some dogs are clever, some dogs are not so clever. And I think that comes out in the drawing. And that just then helps me describe it. And you look at things when you're drawing them, you think, I never would have thought to have mentioned that when I'm describing the character had I not drawn them. So it's a bit of a double-handed process, if you like. And I do go back and forth between each. I'll do several writing of the text. I'll write that several times, several edits, if you like, and several lots of drawings before I'm actually happy that the drawings really tell the story that I want the text to tell
Yeah,
as well. So
yeah, and I guess that's such a fantastic way of getting to know your character by having lots of those edits and then deciding actually what they should look like, but also how they should act and things like that really kind
yeah,
of come into play there.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, a couple of the main characters in my books are Ollie the Collie and Oscar the Rottweiler. And they were both dogs that I've owned personally for 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
And so although I knew their characters, what I've done with the drawing is I've spiced up their characters a little bit. So I put a hat on like Ollie the Collie and some sunglasses because he would have done that. He would have been loved to have been a really cool dude. So I've kind of lived out their dream a little bit. So although I've got the basics of their personality, um, creative license has allowed me to spice them up a little bit as well, which has
Fantastic.
been really good fun.
And I'm
Yeah,
sure that kind of helps to bring them to life, having known sort of those little personalities of those dogs that you've owned
yeah,
and how well you know
it
them.
does.
That really helps as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like Oscar the Rottweiler he loved water and he used to swim round and round and round in circles, catching the splashes in his mouth that he was making with his big paws. So obviously that's got to be in a book, hasn't it? Because in the swimming competition, that was always going to win because that it was just hilarious, and everybody who saw him just stopped and watched him. And
Oh,
so there's a lot of inspiration out there, especially from your own pets. That they're just, and even although the animals I've got now, I haven't really included in any of the stories. That's not to say I won't in the
yeah.
future. It's just that I've got a cocker spaniel now, which is just she's just full on. So there's just so much to put in a storybook at some point.
So lots
Um,
of new writing material is there and waiting to be written.
Yeah, yeah,
Fantastic.
absolutely. And the dynamics between her and I've got two elderly rescue cats, and the dynamics they're just so funny. And as I say, the inspiration's just they're everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Fantastic. So I was going to ask you next, what was your favorite children's book growing up? Was this where you kind of found a love for sort of writing and books and things like that?
Yes, you know what? I've actually got a couple of them here. So
Amazing.
I thought about this question, and I've got three. I think that probably were my favourites. The first one was Olga de Polga, the story about a guinea pig. So there's a bit of a trend coming here.
There we go. I like it.
Um, Yeah, the second one, which I can't find the book for, was Tarka the Otter. Again, I love the human animal interaction in
Yeah.
that. And the third one, when I was much younger, was the Richard Scarry books with all the illustrations. I had a great big hardcover hardback book, which is much bigger than this, but I've actually found these books that I bought a set for my grandchildren. So I'm living them again
Yeah.
now with them. But it's just the colours are so bright and they're so imaginative. And I always remember just sitting there imagining being in that little world. So I suppose that when I look back, where I am now was possibly always going to happen. It just took me a long time to find it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Do you feel like now you're reliving those with your grandchildren? Do you just love them as much as you did the first time, like when you were
I
much
do.
younger?
I struggle with my grandchildren because they want digital stuff now. They're not
Yeah.
so good. I have a grandson who's 6, and a granddaughter who's 1. So the 1-year-old is too young,
Yeah.
really. She looks at the pictures, but not for very long. And my 6-year-old grandson just wants digital stuff all the
Yeah.
time. And whereas I think children these days actually almost need a bit of a detox just to sit and use their imagination rather than having everything presented to them on a plate on a screen. Um, and that's what I'm trying to do, but it's a bit of an uphill struggle. But I
Yeah.
think that's quite common with some little
Yeah,
boys.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think like nothing quite captures the magic of reading an actual book and having those illustrations and having those
Yeah,
yeah, and having that kind of story time is so
yeah.
special. So it's yeah,
I
very exciting.
think so, and it's funny because my grandson, I'll say to him, "Oh, I've got a present for you, Harry," and he'll go, "Oh no, not another book, Nanny." So yeah, he's a work in progress.
Work in
Bless
progress. Is
him.
he enjoying the Misty Nook series? Has he read any of those?
He loves taking them into school, and he's very, very proud that his nanny, because I always give him a copy to take into his class. And apparently, he goes straight to the back of the book and shows them his nanny's picture in the back of the book very proudly. So I think he's proud of me, but I don't think he actually quite gets the
Yeah,
magic in
the
reading
magic.
at the
Yeah.
moment.
He'll
Yeah,
he'll get there. He'll get there. You just got to keep reading
we
them.
will, because I'll make sure he does. But yeah,
Absolutely. My next question is, do you have a favorite line you've ever written in one of your books? Anything that, I don't know, really
I
captures the
do
character?
actually. And it's in this one. Let's have a look. Right, it's in the festival one, and it's part of the Grooviest Shaker composition. And my idea for this was I sat on the beach one day and watched that all dogs shake differently.
Yeah,
So some start with their nose, and some start with their ears, and some just wiggle their bums and just don't do anything else. And I mean, I'm a girl of the 60s and 70s, so I love the disco music. So I wanted to convey a scene of a bit of a boogie wonderland on the beach. So my favourite line is Woody looks on with a wide smile as he calls, "One, two, three, shake," and then laughs vigorously at the gyrating on the beach before him. And I think that kind of just sums up the
sums it up.
fun. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
I
love that
love
line.
that. That's
Yeah,
fantastic. I'd never even
no,
noticed that all dogs
yeah.
shook differently. I love that.
They do every breed start does it differently. Some even start with the tail. It's just
Fantastic.
hilarious, and some just
Yeah.
can't shake. Some just wobble. Yeah, it's funny, and it was a great afternoon spent sitting on the beach just watching the different dogs shake and the
Watching.
diff.
Love
Yeah, it was brilliant.
it. That's fantastic. Really,
Yeah,
really good. And it just shows like where inspiration is just kind
yeah,
of
it's just
anywhere,
a yeah,
which
yeah,
is fantastic. Talking about
yeah.
the beach, talking about to the rescue, all of those things. The characters go off to Friendly Island. We have the dogs shaking on the beach. If the characters were to go anywhere on holiday or to relax, where would they go, do you think?
Okay. Well, I think the dogs would definitely go somewhere with a long sandy beach and a
No.
nice gentle sea coming in, not too many waves because they don't like some don't like waves. So they can dig and splash and just run around. So that would have to be a beach somewhere. But the cats, I think, would need to go to like a little fishing village with a quayside so that they could play in the fishing nets and just get the scraps off the fishing boats. And when they've done that and they're exhausted, just lounge about on the hot concrete, that borders the quayside or something, just chatting with their friends and befriending the fishermen. So I think that will be a really good place for cats to go. And when I do go to little fishing villages in Cornwall and that, I often think actually, if you could be anything living here, I'd quite like to be a cat. I think it would be quite cool.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Fantastic. Just not going too near the water, I suppose.
Yeah,
Keeping
just
clear. Yeah,
yeah.
fantastic. Um, and my next question is, what is harder, coming up with your next story or finding your next character? What do you find trickier?
Do you know what? I think I'm really lucky that I have just got a whole list of stuff in my head that's vying for priority at the top of the list. Um, yeah, there's just ideas everywhere, and it's almost like once you started, it's like a snowball that just gets bigger as it rolls down the hill because there's the sequels potentially to the stories that I've written, or there's when I'm out promoting the stories, I get to meet people and animals that actually would also make a really good story. So there's a long list. I don't think I'm going to run out material or characters, to be honest. So, which is
Absolutely.
brilliant.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. And do you find that kind of when you're coming up with those kind of stories and ideas that then the sort of characters come to you as well and the sort of illustrations along with that?
Do you know, it's usually the characters first. I usually know the characters in my head. I don't know the the final version of the character, but I have a good idea of the character in my head. Um, and then the stories come when I start thinking about what sort of thing that character um, would do. For example, I met when I was out at a careers fair, actually, talking to children about the process of writing a book and publishing it, what have you. Um, the fire brigade were there and they had a service dog, a fire brigade service dog, which was a beautiful big golden retriever called Audrey. And basically, what Audrey does is she just sits and listens to people who have been through trauma. She's like an emotional service dog. And they say children just sit there and just tell her things that they couldn't tell an adult. And they're just left alone with the dog and they just sit and chat. So what a great story, because actually the tales that Audrey could tell and the adventures that potentially Audrey could then go on with these children to help them heal, that's a whole new series of books.
Yeah.
And that's where the ideas come from.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, what an exciting story to be telling. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, thinking about kind of new books, new ideas coming, what is
Yeah.
coming next? Is there anything exciting on the table? Anything you're looking forward to?
Yeah, there's quite a lot going on. I mean, for the rest of this year, I'm focusing on writing. I've written three adult short stories, which have all gone through the copy editing process now. And I'm entering those into competitions and submitting them to magazines. Um, because I feel if I want to step into adult fiction, I need to get my brand out there, get my name out there. And um, I went on a couple of writing courses, and one of the big learns from that was sort of start slowly and start, with the short stories. Um, Dip your toe in the water, see what sort of reception you get. Um, I learned that I could actually write really well in the first person on these courses, so I'm trying that out as well to see how that's received. So that's what we're doing with those, and then next year there will be a Misty Nook sequel, which probably will be the story of the three kittens, Rizzo, Rolo, and Ivy, who go and live on the quayside on Friendly Island in the fishermen's cottages. Because, yes, as I said, if I could be one, if I could do that, I would quite like to do that. And then potentially I might do the service dog book as well. So yeah, do you know what? There's just lots. My biggest challenge is pacing myself and just
Yeah.
focusing on one thing at a time because I've just got so many ideas.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that is a fantastic place to be. Lots of exciting things coming up, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And if anyone wanted to find your books or any new releases, where could they look to find them?
Hey, the best place to look for updates and the books is on my website, which is www.christineskippins.author.com. On there, you can buy the books from the Book Dragon. You can buy them directly from me. There is also a link on there to Amazon because there has to be. And you can then sign up for my newsletter, or you can just dip in and see my latest newsletter on there, and all the events that I've been attending, and what I've been doing through the summer.
Fantastic, amazing. So it's been so lovely to talk to you today, Chris. I definitely feel like I've learned so much about where the Misty Nook series has come from, so much about your writing process as well, which is really exciting. And I cannot wait to, yeah, read more and see what else is coming next, which is super exciting. So we hope
Thank you
that
very
you
much.
enjoy the magic of Misty Nook series as much as we have, and happy reading to anyone that goes out and buys some new books.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Livvy.
No
Thank
worries
you.
at all.